So in this video, I'm going to be talking through the Columbia MBA program. So in case you're looking at applying to Columbia this year, 2017, 2018, then in this video, I'm going to discuss about the school and we're going to be looking at the application essays. Right? So firstly about the school, I think the first thing that people talk about, Columbia is the first thing that comes to their mind is finance, right? So yes, it's very strong for finance, and also if you look at it, it's a virtuous cycle. So a lot of the people at Wall Street, they end up taking, if they want to take a break, they end up coming to Columbia, they do their MBA, and they get back to Wall Street, correct? And after a few years, when they want to recruit, guess where they come back to? Columbia again, correct? So it's like a nice symbiotic relationship that they have with the Wall Street. So I think in terms of finance, and also if you have heard of someone like Benjamin Graham, right, this whole father of value investing, he taught at Columbia, correct? So in terms of its reputation in finance is very, very strong, correct? So it's known as a very strong finance school. So that's one huge play that we have. Second thing is the New York City location, correct? The fact that you are right there in downtown New York, in Manhattan, where there is this melting pot of culture, right? So many diverse things, so many people. So I think very few schools can boast of location like that. Correct. So that's a huge plus that Columbia has. And if you look at their website, you look at their application, you will see that they are also trying to exploit that, right? They are also saying, hey, it's our location. Nobody can, offer you this location, right? You may have all the money in the world, but you can't be in the heart of New York, correct? So I think in terms of not just culture, but also the kind of connection that you have with companies, right? The who's who is headquartered in New York, right? So I think that plays a huge role. So that's about the Columbia MBA program and the things you need to probably be talking about. Here is the deal. They have a round one. They call it the early entry. It's on October 4th. Again, the thing is, if you apply for the early entry and if you get offer and if you take up the offer, then you pretty much can't apply to other schools. So you have to be a little wary of applying. But if you feel Columbia is the place to be and that's your first school of choice, then strongly recommend that you apply in round one, October 4th, because a lot of people who are vacillating between Columbia and like some of the other schools, they end up wanting to keep Columbia in round two because of this early option on October 4th, right? But if that's not the case for you, October 4th is when you should be applying. You also have a deadline on Jan 5th, right? So that is your second deadline immediately after the New Year holidays, and then you have the final deadline, which is April 11th, 2018. Again, as an Indian applicant, as an international applicant, don't recommend the third deadline. So either it's going to be October 4th if you're very sure about Columbia, or January 5th, right? Either of these two. All right. So now let's look at the essay questions that we have. So essentially it has three essays, and over the years it has pretty much been constant, and we have had students applying and getting into Columbia. So again, a lot of what I'm saying is based on the discussions that we have had internally with them. So the first one says, through your resume and recommendations, we have a clear sense of your professional path to date. What are your career goals over the next 3 to 5 years, and what in your imagination would be your long-term dream job? So first off, they are saying, I know what you have done. Okay, don't bore me with that. That's information that I'm going to find elsewhere in the application, correct? So 500 words to talk about your short-term goal, right? That's a lot of words if you think about it. But again, they require you to be very clear in what function do you want to be in, correct? What industry do you want to be in, and what geography do you want to be in, right? And usually if you're trying to change your career, you want to make sure that you're not changing all three, you're probably changing two out of the three, which means that if you're coming from India and as an applicant, your geography anyway gets changed, which means you are left with industry and function, correct? So you need to make sure that you are at least sticking to the same industry. So if you come from the financial sector industry, you want to stick to the financial sector industry. Maybe your function changes, correct? or maybe your function remains the same, but you want to be in a different industry. So the other thing is that a place like Columbia, it is not necessary that only financial professionals go, right? Think about it. If you are Columbia, you aspire to be a Harvard or a Stanford, and nobody really, asks what is the specialization at Harvard or the specialization at Stanford. That's a general management program. So even Columbia is not a master's in finance program. You are going for an MBA program, correct? So you can go for consulting. You can go for product management, right? So even tech companies are headquartered in New York. So whatever you want to pick, make sure that you are able to clearly articulate what is it that you're going to be doing, correct? So in case you have not already done so, here is a tip. Make sure you go to LinkedIn, look for people who have graduated from Columbia, who are in a similar industry, try to connect with them, try to understand more about what it takes to get those jobs, because the school is also looking at employability. They don't want this guy and saying, hey, you know what, I want to change everything about me. I was a software programmer working in Bangalore, and suddenly I want to go become an investment banker in Wall Street without having an idea of what it takes, right? The second part, if you see, it says in your imagination. These three words are important. In your imagination, what would be your long-term dream job? Let your thoughts come out freely. Nobody is going to judge you. I would say they would judge you on your short-term goals. They were not going to judge you on your long-term goals. They really are looking at what is your passion. Because in my short-term goal, yes, I want to look at employability and there is a little bit of passion. But if I were to take all this away, who is it that I really am? What is it that I really want to do with this canvas called life, right? What is it? How do I want to paint it? That's what they really want to know. So I think you should dedicate at least a good 150, 200 words for your long term, right? And that also gives a great opportunity to express who you are, right? So about 250 to 300 words, short term, being very specific, and the long term, slightly imaginative, slightly expressing your own personal choices of what you want to do in life for the next 200 words or so. So that's how really the 500 words are going to play out for the first essay. Let's look at the second essay. The full-time MBA experience includes academics, recruiting, and networking. What are your personal priorities and how do you anticipate allocating your time at Columbia Business School? See, again, the whole idea is that the business school experience, the 2 years staying in a place like New York, can be overwhelming, right, for a lot of people. And they just don't know what to do. They go berserk, right? They go to B school, they want to do a little bit of this, little bit of that, and plus there's a huge opportunity cost. There is a cost of an MBA, all of it playing in your mind, and you really can get lost. So this essay really saying is, what is it that you want to do? There is really nothing like a right answer or a wrong answer for this, correct? You could say that, my priority is really experiencing the student life. You don't need to talk about academics. It's okay, right? You want to say, I want to use this opportunity to network with people. I want to bring my Columbia credentials and go out there in the city and meet people. If that's what you want to do, make sure you do it. You say so, correct? So really, there is really no harm in saying that. Or if you feel that really I'm here for the knowledge and I'm going to, my priority is actually to sit in the class and, attend the lectures and learn from the faculty, learn from the kind of resources that I'm going to have at the B school. That also could be an answer, right? So as I said, nothing that is right or wrong. Pick your priority, 250 words, very little leeway for you. You need to stick to the story. You need to get directly to giving what the answer is. The third essay says select one of the two essays, 250 words, and the choices are: please tell us what you feel most passionate about in life. B, if you were given a free day and could spend it anywhere, in any way you choose, what would you do? Now, if you look at it, firstly, neither of the two essays have an edge over the other, correct? So again, I have students coming and asking me, Arun, which one should I pick to maximize my chances? Columbia, probably 50% of the incoming class is going to pick one essay, 50% is going to pick the other essay. So there is really nothing that discriminates one essay over the other. Let's take the first one. Tell us what you're passionate about in life. Remember what you're passionate about in life. If you remember on the first essay, we spoke about what are your career goals and the long-term goal. What is it that you really want to do? I would imagine that this has to somewhere connect with that, correct? So you cannot have a long-term career goal not be involving your passion, right? So you need to make sure that you kind of tie that. Though you don't want to talk about your career in this essay, I'm just saying keep the general theme. The second part is, if you were given a free day, what would you do, right? Pretty much whatever you want to express it. They are just trying to see, is this person interesting? Would I like to meet this person, right? Is he a person who I would like to see in my class for the next 2 years, correct? So be imaginative, be creative, right? And we have noticed that students who are expressive, they may write weird things, and I've used the word weird, okay, but they end up really popping out of the paper. They just cannot come out of the application form. They say, wow, this guy is interesting, right? I would like to meet him. So that's really the theme that I would like you to keep for the third essay, right? And then we have the optional essay as with the other cases, unless and until you're a reapplicant, any academic gaps, any work-related gaps you want to mention. Otherwise, steer clear. Don't try to retrofit a story that did not find space anywhere else. Right? So yeah, Columbia Business School, one of the schools where there is a lot to write. If you compare it with some of the other schools, not much, but this one a lot to write. So make sure that you get your application, form done as soon as possible. Don't prolong it. The essays can take a long time to write. In case you think that there is a way in which we can help you, please feel free. Click on the link below. Let us know. We would be glad to connect with you and see how we can be part of your MBA journey. As always, like this video, comment below. I'm going to make sure that I respond to each and every comment. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this video.